welcome. This is Chris Lipe and Randy Goldberg in St. Louis, Missouri, and we're here bringing you round 18, the last round of day 3 of play in Albany, New York. Some Scrabble action happening over New Year's Eve weekend. The annual traditional tournament is 22 rounds this year, and we are bringing you every single one here on Twitch. Right now, we have, to finish up the day, we have Joe Edley and Joey Krafchick playing two of the top players in the TWL A division, going at it mano a mano. We'll be bringing you the action. The players are clearing the tiles off the board as we speak, and we're about ready to begin. Right now, we have Evans Clinchy with a 2-game lead on the field. He's 15-2 in the Collins division. Stefan Rau, 13-4. Adam Logan, 13-4. And then we have 3 players tied at 11-6. Tim Weiss, Brad Whitmarsh, and Jennifer Lee. In the TWLA division, we have Carl Higby with a 1-game lead over Joey Krafchick, who himself has a lead on Joey Malik and Joe Edley and Conrad, who are all at 10-7. Lloyd Mills also 10-7, and Josh Sokol's round 17 game against Craig Rowland is still, and the result is not yet in. So we are very near ready to start this game between the Joes. We have Mr. Edley and Mr. Krafchick. The players have cleared the tiles off the board, and we are preparing to begin directly. And it appears that Joey is going first. And has drawn the dreaded UW combination to begin. This is a TWL game, so about 25% of the words that are normally valid in Scrabble play are not going to be acceptable here. But it's going to be a good matchup nonetheless. And Joey, on his opening rack, is faced with a decision of dealing with the U or dealing with the W. Both of them cannot be dealt with at once, so he does open with wage, decides to move the W along and address the U in a subsequent turn. Joe immediately comes back, plays waifed, and Joey responds by putting his arm in front of the rack camera so I can't see what the heck he has. Both players are getting off to a fast start. And Joey made his subsequent play before Edley had drawn the tiles. So So it is Joe Edley on turn right now, and
Joey has E-E-O-R-S-E.
I have, yep, it works for now. The first couple plays seemed to be pretty straightforward. Joey dealt with the UW combination by ditching W, holding the U. Joe played waifed, which is a pretty standard play. It's going to score. It's out of a somewhat awkward rack. And then Joey tries to balance, plays oof. There's not a really good opportunity for him to play the U on this board. So, and now Joe has a nicely balanced rack, also holding the Z, and cashes the Z with Zeal. Which is absolutely a fine play. And I think Joey very quickly exchanges out of his rack and keeps ERS. And I think Joey overdrew. It looks like Joey overdrew, or looks like somebody overdrew.
Yeah, Shelley said Edley has 8.
Edley has overdrawn. Joe Edley has overdrawn. Stop the presses. We have an overdraw situation here. Somebody call the director. Call a team of directors. We need to rectify this immediately. Oh, I think Joey just put one of the tiles back in the bag. We're ready to go. And it looks like Joe Edley lost the C in the overdraw.
Yep. So it's probably smart if you've turned over 3 tiles, 2 vowels, 1 consonant. It often makes sense to throw back a consonant, leave your opponent, maybe a little more likely to be a little bit vowel heavy.
Yep, absolutely. You want to make sure when you're deciding what to throw back on an overdraw, take rack balance into consideration as much as you're taking into consideration the equity of the individual tiles involved. So now it is Joe Edley's turn. Now that his endowment has been reduced to the standard 7-tile allotment. And he's looking at a bunch of just various choices that score between high teens to mid 20s, rack balancing sort of plays, just trying to figure out, a balance between equity, and there's nothing whiz bang here, nothing to stop the presses over, nothing's gonna phone home. No, nothing to wake up the kids and phone the neighbors. There's not any sort of play like that here. It's just going to be your regular, typical, score and balance sort of consideration. He plays HEP at 6L. I believe the last I knew, HEP did not take an S in TWL. That's probably still the case. And Joey plays his bingo, and immediately it goes down using the swage hook. And that is an instant play on the part of young Master Kravchik. And the ball is back in Joe Edley's court. Joey has now a 40, 45, 50-point lead. It's a solid bonus to come out of the beginning of the game with, as we head into the middle of the game. He's got to feel like he's in a good position. It's far too early to start counting chickens. But he realizes he has a goodly number of eggs, and they are remaining quite warm.
Quite warm?
Yes, that's how chickens hatch. You incubate the egg.
Yes, I just this image of either of the Joes actually sitting on a nest of eggs. Interesting.
I actually think that that's something that Joey Krafchick might be interested in. He seems like the kind of guy who would raise urban chickens in his spare time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there is absolutely nothing better, as far as Joey Krafchick is concerned, nothing better than fresh omelet made from eggs harvested that morning, but from chickens stolen from the neighbor's coop.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying he would have them for himself.
Oh, he does, but then his neighbors steal those.
Oh, okay. Well, then, sounds like a good trade.
Yeah, it tends to work out both ways.
That's fun. They're making a lot of use of the top half of the board here. Some interesting shaping happening.
Yeah, the top half of the board is being developed pretty intensely. There's not a whole lot going on right now. There's opportunities to play through it. But the main feature is this sort of these parallel plays on the same row, and when that happens, that tends to inhibit development of that. As it were, Joey actually has a pretty clever play through two disconnected tiles right here. Not a bingo or anything, but a clever play, and it looks, from how he has his tiles arranged on his rack, it looks like he's considering it. The bottom of the board is by no means dead or impacted or anything, because there's still lots, G and I columns are wide open, there's all the hooks on swage. So the bottom of the board is still going to get its 11 this game at some point, but there's it just so happens that most of the play has wafted vertically upwards towards towards rows 1, 2, and 3. And Joey does find lockup through the C and the P, which is a really clever play, good exercise of board vision to see that, and that's one of Quackle's top choices at least, and it looks like a very quality way to deal with what could otherwise be a pretty awkward rack.
Yeah, it looks like that also inhibits play in the 8th row, which would have then allowed Joe to score and begin to develop that bottom half of the board.
Yeah, the other thing that lockup does as a play, that's a good point, is it takes out this A8 spot. Like, you're not going to get some little 3-tile play here with a vowel in the middle, or even a 5-tile or 6-tile play that might do some actual damage. The net effect of it is, this play here is going to develop a column, but lockup prevents that and ensures that this L and perhaps this I remain open. So any development of this lower left quadrant is going to come down this way from these tiles, or it could come down here and then across. Apparently, there are those of us in the chat who don't actually believe that Joey is a very experienced farmer, cultivator of
At least not of chickens.
Cultivator of goods.
He might farm some other things.
I think he's a very experienced farmhand and is quite adept at rustling. Joe finds a boo over on the right-hand side of the board. It's one of the best plays according to Quackle, and it looks really good. It has a nice combination of both score and balance. So the only disadvantage is it keeps the U, but the rest of the rack is pretty well balanced, and it looks like a solid play. Unless, of course, he were to do something crazy like draw another U. Joey tests my unsurety from the previous that I had previously expressed whether Hep takes an S. It is absolutely good in Collins. I do not remember for the life of me if they added it to TWL. And the players are about to ask for a computer intervention on this question. And once they return to the board, we will find out if it has indeed been, and it looks like it is in fact a valid play. So Joe is back on turn. He's 80 points in arrears at this point, and things are starting to look somewhat dire. He has lost his turn because of the double challenge penalty. So Joey gets to resume play with his newly replenished rack. And he cashes his WY. Of the issues on his rack, the W is one of them, the double T's are another. He, instead of playing something like Toe, which would score a bunch less, he plays Yao, which is almost certainly the correct equity play, I think. The double T is going to be less of a pain than trying to juggle a Y in with the rest of your tiles in ensuing turns. Joe responds by exchanging the BUU off his rack, keeping EIRT. There were a few plays he had that were reasonable, worth considering. He could do something like Brewitt and Swager. It could fish off the U's, play Ulu through the L in Pylia, but he does the exchange, and then Joey immediately comes back from his rack and plays Tong, which is a wonderful scoring and balancing move, and it starts to make the bottom of the board trickier to develop. So it's things are starting to all move in positive directions for Joey, and his eggs, while not quite ready to hatch, are certainly incubating, and the yolk is feeding a healthy young chick underneath. And Joe, having doubles of everything, plays Trite. Trite is actually a really nice board play in terms of board development. It's going to start to do some things at the bottom of the board that he would want to do. Joey immediately responds with Hey up at the top. And Joe Edley just can't seem to catch a break with his drawing reference here, with his drawing hand. The golden, he does not have the Midas touch this game. He plays naive in an attempt to balance things. And now Joey has his bingo that's going to go down. The one thing to say that I want to visit before we move on too far in the game is the Joe's trite play did a couple different things in terms of board development. What he first of all opened up this line that Joey's about to use to bingo. Opened up triter is a hook down here. Obviously gave some floaters to play through, but it did manage to fork the board in that it opened up two different areas at the same time, which are going to be very difficult to block or use both at once. So that's a really good board forking sort of play. If you're going to use the hook on Swager and take that row 9 spot off, you have to also develop other things at the same time, and that's what Joe did with the trite play by opening up two different rows. Joey plays outline. That's pretty straightforward. And then Joe Edley comes back with an ironic, a play that is very much full of iron. It is an irony play. Joey draws triple D and plays Dam. And again, as we saw in row 4, this also, it's going to make it more difficult to develop that area of the board by making this, this parallel play, this even line play, this parallel play on row 10. So now, it's going to be a bit difficult. You have to make it does shut down this row 11. It doesn't open anything up on row 11 here because two of them block each other. So you have, you're going to have to make some additional play here on row 11 in order to develop row 12, or, likewise make an EDH play here or something that goes and then opens up, something over here, or a vertical play that, then, risks getting blocked off and all of the stuff and some tiles over here and here and here. So it's a good play by Joey, a good board control sort of play, and he's gonna. It's looking quite good for him. Joe comes back with unbar through the N up top. He needs to continue to score. He's behind by 140 points now, 2 full bingos. And yeah, if you set up lanes just for big bingos and you don't draw them, sometimes you need to take that spot to score while to score, so you don't fall too far behind while you're waiting to actually play your bingo. Joe has found the warm rays, sunshiny rays of the first blank descending upon his rack. We'll see. He might need to bingo with each blank in succession in order to make this game, turn this game back into a close contest. Joey's second bingo of outline has really put things out of reach. He's getting ready to, he is warming up his abacus and preparing to take a full accounting of the chickens forthwith. Joey is taking a few moments on this rack. There appears to be there's no obvious X play. The plays that do and that do bring extra value to the X are actually the stuff that descends down here, something like add X or maxed or things like that provide floaters and to go through. And so something like this, similar to the play we saw in the game with Evans, where he had VoIP, he had AUP, he had a bunch of choices that scored decently, but also but also they didn't, but also they gave opportunities back. It might behoove Joey to not make one of those plays, do something like axe up here and xed. And that would be a really nice interior play to get value for the X, and also, but without opening up the board. As it were, he's played add X down. This does give Joe an opportunity to showcase the full destructive power of the blank, which he has done. And that turn of events could have been avoided had Joey not made a play that opened up bingo lanes somewhat needlessly. However, Joey is still firmly in control of the game. He's got a 100-point lead.